Hi, guys. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition of The Law and You. I am your host, Attorney Shellon Washington. I was on time today, guys, but there was an issue in that no one could hear me. So the sounds was not being heard. Nobody could have heard the sounds of my earlier video. So I had to remove that video and repost this one. So I'm back at it again live now. And hopefully this time people are able to hear me. Well, I know for sure people can hear me now. My first video, no one could hear me. Earlier, I was speaking to you about grounds for divorce in the state of New York, but for some reason, like I said, the sounds was muted, and I had to get the computer's troubleshoot so that I could come back here to talk to you about the grounds for divorce. Um, I was saying to you guys earlier when you couldn't hear me. The first thing is, if you're sitting there contemplating a divorce, you're in the middle of a very troublesome relationship that you've been married to the person, and you're thinking about it, you're contemplating it. I would say get up right now and just call the law office and get some consultation. If you've been worried, thinking about it in your mind, but you're not sure what to do, the phone number there is 718-877-3100. And we need to talk about this. Let's talk about some of the grounds for which you should seek a divorce, and you shouldn't hesitate. If you're contemplating it, if you consider it, you're thinking about it, you're not sure, I can help you make your mind up. If maybe you consult and we speak about it more versus you sitting in your misery. There is an actual organization, a group of people called Unhappily Ever After. Those are those people, they've been married for several years and they decided that it's not worth getting a divorce. So they decided that they're going to be unhappily ever after, which, most marriages we tend to refer to as it's happily ever after. But these people, this group of people, they consider themselves unhappily ever after because they're going to sit in a relationship that is dead, that has, there's nothing really there, but the parties may have assets. And that's a reason why sometimes people decide that they're not going to file a divorce, because they've accomplished so much together as a unit, as a husband and wife. They've acquired properties, they've acquired assets, investments, stocks, bonds, you name it. And then at that time, when the problem started in the marriage, they decided it's not worth it, and they're not going to file that divorce, but they're going to just sit together for the rest of their lives and just kind of like ride it out. To be honest with you guys, when people accomplish or acquire a certain amount of assets, it gets to the point where it doesn't make sense to split the assets down the middle. And so they don't want to do all of that because they have children. That's one of the main reasons, because they have children behind them. If there's no children, they don't care. But if there's children, they really seriously consider that they would like to inherit their children. And that's why they decide to make a conscious decision that they're going to stick it out no matter what. And that whenever they're gone, the children are going to be the one to inherit whatever's left behind. I mean, that's a good way for some people to think about it. But if you don't have that much asset and you don't have children to worry about, or even if you have children, your children are self-sufficient, or they're likely to be because of the careers they have chosen, and they have said to you repeatedly, Mom or Dad, I don't want you to think about me, then you should definitely consider the divorce rather than living your life in misery or real hell. And I can tell you, I've seen quite a few cases where people have been in real hell. It's been a hellish nightmare for them, but they've decided that they're going to sit down and endure that hell. Case on point, I've seen a situation with a lady. She's living in a real hell, but the church people advise her not to file the divorce. She went to the point where she had already filed a divorce, and the church people got to her and they discourage her because they're telling her for religious purpose. Guys, I've seen too many people suffer at the hands of religion. And sometimes you got to make a choice that is best for you and your peace of mind. Unfortunately, most people haven't gotten to that point in life where they recognize that you're responsible for your own happiness. And it doesn't come from a partner. It doesn't come from your children. It doesn't come from your friends. It comes from within. And most people doesn't recognize that. And because of that, they suffer in a relationship where they feel that their needs are not being met. They're dependent on the partner for happiness, and that's not being met. And they're very, very unhappy, and they're living in a continuous state of a hellish nightmare. But as soon as you realize your happiness doesn't depend on anyone, it changes the dynamics of things, and it means that you could be anywhere and still be happy, because you understand that you're responsible for your own happiness, not a spouse, not your children, nobody but you. But forget about that. Let's now focus on the people who still believe the spouse is responsible. If you believe your spouse is responsible for your happiness and you feel like you're in hell, then I would say you need to get up and call the office. Give the office a call, 718-877-3100. Guys, I told you every single week, these weekly sessions are brought to you by my law firm, Washington Law Firm, located in Brooklyn, New York. Our office is at 455 Utica Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. And I want you guys to keep that address, keep the phone number. And if you have a legal issue you need assistance with, give the number a call. Give us a call. Every week we bring to you these editions to help you understand the law, to help you navigate the law, the legal system in New York. Some of the issues we discuss not only would affect you in New York, it's applicable other places too. So you need to understand what to do, where to go, how to sort your problems out. And do not sit in your misery and think that God is going to come and help you out of it. You have got to help yourself. God help those who help themselves. That's what people say all the time. Yet, a lot of people are sitting, waiting on God to come and solve their problems. Guys, let me tell you, you have the ability to solve your own problem and bring your own solution to yourself. Now, if you have a partner that is cheating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, file the divorce. Do not sit down. You know why? You're wasting your time if you believe that your happiness is dependent on somebody. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your life away thinking to yourself that, okay, you're going to suffer in this misery and somehow the situation is going to change for you. It doesn't get better. It could only get worse unless you're on the same page with that partner. If you and that partner are not on the same page, you're seeing life differently, you're experiencing it differently, you're on two different frequency, two different levels. Why do you believe by sitting in the misery you're going to solve the problem, or the person is going to automatically change so that they can help you? It's not going to happen that way. So rather than you sitting there and wasting time, let me tell you about the grounds on which you can get a divorce ASAP. Now, the most popular ground we've been dealing with of recent is the no-fault divorce, which is what everybody should strive to get, because it's the fastest way in and out. If you want to do adultery or cruelty or abandonment or desertion, any of those grounds that require strict proof, you're going to be putting yourself to go find pictures, go find phone records, go find recordings to help to establish your case. Now, you don't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to prove that somebody has wronged you. 50% of all divorces of all marriages in the United States ends in divorce. If you understand that rate, there's a reason for that rate. One of the biggest reasons is finance. People, husband and wives, are constantly fighting over money. There's not enough money in the house. Somebody's not putting enough money. Somebody's not working enough, or somebody's working too much, or somebody's not meeting the needs of somebody. Somebody is too nasty. Somebody is too very, very cold-hearted. They're not caring about the needs, and they're not having compassion about the other party. These are all things people have issues with in a marriage. And I'm telling you, rather than you sit there, a marriage only works with two very willing people. Keep that in mind. If you don't have two willing people, two people who are saying, okay, you know what? I'm willing to work on myself. I'm willing to go the extra mile to make sure that, whatever is going on, that me together with my spouse, we can solve the problem. And a lot of times there's no willingness on one side and there's a willingness on one side. One party is always willing and the other is always not willing. So if you have a situation where you're willing to go to counseling, you're willing to fix your marriage, but the spouse isn't willing, you believe you're going to be able to change that person? The person is not going to change. The situation at home is not going to change. And you're going to sit there and before you know it, your life is wasted. And I'm not telling you divorce and just go marry again. Sometimes divorcing and staying by yourself is a good thing. It's not anything bad because then you get to focus on you. You get to rebuild yourself. And then once you focus on you rebuild and you put your own life together, people are going to naturally be attracted towards you. And then you could make a decision whether you would like to remarry or you would like to just stay single, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Don't let social media, don't let things you see going on around you make you believe that, because you're not in a relationship, in a marriage, that you're undesirable, that something is wrong with you, you're broken. None of these things. A lot of times are the broken folks are the ones who are involved in the marital relationships. And those are the ones who really need attention because they're broken. So don't let society fool you and tell you, you should do this. You should do that. You have this time to do. No, you do not. You can take as much time as you want to focus on you, to build you, to determine whenever you feel like it's right for you. But don't let society tell you that these are markers that you must meet at a certain age. It's not true. Focus on you first and don't sit in a broken relationship that you know is broken. God knows is broken. And we know that it probably will never fix itself or self-correct because you might be with a man who likes to be with 10 women. You might be with a man who likes to be with 8 women or 9 women or whatever his situation is. It's difficult to find faithful men. And when you do find the faithful ones, there might be some issue there with that man. So rather than you sit in there thinking that you could, for some reason, that this is going to correct itself, guys, don't do it to yourself. Do not torture yourself. Do not put yourself through hell because hell is really a state of mind. And if you choose to sit in hell with your life, then you really got no one to blame. Get yourself up, pick your life up and walk through the door and call the office. Call my office if you need to get a divorce. And like I said, the non-contested divorce or the no-fault divorce, which means that you don't have to have a reason to file the divorce, except, you're not getting along with your spouse. You guys have problems that you don't believe could be solved. And you walk along your way, get that divorce and walk along your way. Don't waste your life because a lot of people have regrets. A lot of people in this world die with regrets. They sit in a loveless relationship while there's a song, I don't remember the name of the song, with the lady was saying that you would be home with the children and the husband would be out there loving everybody else but you. So you do not want to be that person where the husband is out there loving every other woman except you. You don't want to be that woman. You want to be the one that if you're with a husband, he's there loving you and you're loving him and it's mutual and he's home with you and not out there with somebody else. And if you're in a relationship with somebody like that, God forbid, there's so many things that man is exposing you to. Get the divorce. Stop sitting down and allowing people to dictate your life. I know the church is a big one. They play a big role in manipulating people's life in these situations. They tend to tell you, do not get married, or they make you get married because they believe you're living in sin. And then when you get married, you're going through real hell and they say, stay right there. Do not divorce. Now, tell me, how did we get to a point where a church manipulates us and tell us what to do? How did we get to a point where a pastor has the right to tell you you're not supposed to divorce if your husband is out there sleeping with 10, 20 women? God knows the numbers. How did we get there? Make sure, guys, If you're going to stay somewhere in a relationship, know what you're doing. Know that it's your life, and you have to keep yourself safe. You're responsible for yourself. So it's simple. No fault divorce. You file, you will get that very easy. Even if your spouse is cheating, do not focus on the adultery. Don't focus on the desertion. If he goes away and leave you, don't focus on that, because it will destroy you. I see a lot of people go through divorces and they can't deal with what comes with it. The reason why, they didn't prepare themselves. Prepare yourselves mentally first. Like, disconnect yourself from everything that is happening. That's the first thing you need to do. If you want to get over somebody really quick and divorce them, disconnect yourself, meaning stop communicating over the phone, stop texting them, stop looking at their Facebook or their social media page. Do not pay attention to anything that they're doing. Focus on you. I have to often remind my clients, focus on you. Look at yourself. Fix yourself. Focus on getting yourself back to normal. Get everything out of your system. I don't care if you got to go join a yoga class, run every day, go on the treadmill, but just focus on yourself and your own healing journey. Guys, this today's edition of The Law and You is brought to you by my firm, Washington Law Firm. If you're looking at this video, I encourage you to press the like button, share this video so the right audience. There's literally millions of people in New York, and a lot of them are looking for divorce. They would like to get out of a very troublesome or tumultuous relationship. Share this video so they can get to me and we can help them sort their problems out. And if you're listening and you need legal consultation, the number is right there, 718-877-3100. That's the number to call. Consultation is free. It's no cost to you guys. Like, if you need any advice on a situation you're sitting at home in. I mentioned before there was a situation with a client. The husband brought her here to the United States on a green card. I think he brought her on a fiance visa. Let me correct that. I think it was a fiance visa. He left her at home. He is abusive to the woman. She can't even make phone calls to call an attorney. She's so afraid. And there's so many resources here in the United States that people who are being abused, they can call, they could reach out, they'll get free legal advice, they'll get an attorney, and they'll get a place to relocate. A lot of people are in domestic violent relationships. They're being abused. I know a lot of situations like that, where the wife is being abused in the home, either verbally, mentally, physically. Physical abuse is actually happening here in the United States. A lot of people are being abused in their home, women, and they feel trapped. And, I can understand, because the system, the way the system is, in order to get equitable distribution, which is bad, because if you marry somebody and you need to get you need support, right? The shorter the marriage, the less likely you're going to get financial support. The longer the marriage, you're going to get at least 10 years. You're going to get the man's social security. You're going to get part of his pension. You're going to get part of his assets that is considered marital. So a lot of times you got to suffer. A lot of women choose to suffer in silence because they're not educated. They don't have a way or a means of earning sufficient or adequate income for themselves and their children. So they sit and they suffer for the 10 years. But once the 10 years get there, they kick that man to the curb. And I know one situation like that, where the lady, I believe the lady's self-sufficient, self-supporting, but her income is not as high as the man's was. The man cheated for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He cheated on her for a very long time in the marriage. And then as soon as she was able to stand on her foot, boom, she files a divorce to get rid of the husband. And it was a very long, drawn-out divorce. I wasn't involved in the divorce, but from reading the transcript and looking at the notes, it was very long and very turbulent. Like, it was really bad, a bad divorce that the parties were dragged through. And even now, the woman, even though the parties have been divorced for over 3 years now, the woman is very bitter. I don't know why, even though well, I kind of know why she's bitter with the husband. But let me tell you something, guys. If you have to wait to get the assets of a spouse so that you can live a comfortable life, right? I get it. I get it. Because if you're uneducated, or even if you're educated, but you just don't have the right training, educational wise, in order to support yourself, right? And you have to depend on this man for support, for him to take you through life. And then you end up divorcing him and you get his assets, and the court orders him to support you financially, but the man is not doing what he's supposed to do. I would encourage you not to be so bitter with life. Sometimes you got to downgrade in life. And that's what the lady's problem was. She refused to downgrade. Sometimes you just got to downgrade. If you can't afford your lifestyle on your own, don't be afraid to downgrade. Downgrade, because you're going to sue him. You're going to go to divorce court and sue him for adultery. How are you going to suppose you're going to prove adultery? Adultery is one of the hardest things to prove. Because unless you have explicit text messages that you save with him admitting, right? You have pictures showing him in a very compromising position. You have videos. You have all this type of evidence. Adultery is one of the hardest things to prove. The easiest way to prove it is if there's a product of the adultery, like a child born in the relationship. And if that didn't happen, how do you suppose you're going to prove that? You could prove cruelty, because if the man was hitting you in the head, you took pictures, he black and bruised your eyes are black and blue, you have bruises on your skin, bruises on parts of your body. You take pictures, you go to the ER, you make a record. You can prove that. That is easy to prove. And this goes for both ways, because I do understand that there are some women who abuse men. And this is for them too. And a lot of people try to take advantage of that, the abusive spouse syndrome, and use it to adjust their status in immigration. So it go both ways. And for those women who are sitting waiting for the husband to file the green card, if the man is abusive, make a record of the abuse. Like, go to the ER every time he hits you. Get medical records to show that he's hitting you. Build a case against him. Then you file for the divorce. And just note that if he already filed for the green card, if you have the green card, he filed the affidavit of support, he still got to support you, even if the marriage is just short. He filed the affidavit of support, agreeing to support you. And the family court is going to stand by you. They're going to enforce that affidavit, he or she. And they're going to be responsible for supporting you as long as you choose to live in this country on that green card. But if you never got the green card, you understand, you can still use the abuse that the person did against you to go file for your use the abuse spouse petition and get your green card anyway. But like I said, it requires you building a case against that person. Guys, if you're in a relationship that you feel is dead, you feel the relationship is over, you feel that there's no hope of reconciliation, give me a call. The number right there is on the screen, 718-877-3100. File for that divorce. Stop sitting down in misery and crying every day to your friends and family and telling them how bad your spouse is. Get up and take the first step to get out of your misery, which is calling the phone number, and you'll get free legal advice. If you want a non-contested, if the spouse is not going to contest the divorce, that's easy. If you want a contested divorce, on the other hand, those take some time, and the process is a little bit longer, even though it's still no fault. A contested could be fault or no fault. Guys, give the number a call and see if we could be of any help to you. Thank you guys for joining me today, even though we came on a little bit late, because I was having technical issues. After spending almost half an hour the first time, I discovered through the message from a viewer that they were not able to hear me. But thankfully, I was able to get that resolved. And thanks again, guys, for joining me today of this edition of The Law and You. I will see you again next Saturday at the same time. Not the same time now, but at 4 o'clock. This time we just had to go a little bit late because of the technical issue. But I'll see you again next Saturday at 4 p.m. sharp. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys.